Lars is a character that has one of the best punishment in the game, one of the best neutral tools in the game, and one of the scariest mix-up stances in the game as well, especially in heat. As such, Lars rewards players that can implement all of these aspects in their game. Hey guys, GamerNemy here, and today I'm gonna give you 15 essential tips that can help you improve your gameplay with Lars Alexanderson in Tekken 8. Short-range counter-hit tools in Tekken 8 are in short supply, and Lars happens to be the lucky few that has a 10-frame hit confirmable counter-hit string that takes him into heat. Now this one should be an obvious tip, but guys, use your 1-1-1. I don't see that many Lars players utilizing 1-1-1 that often. You can visually see if the first two hits are counter-hit, and you can confirm it by doing the last string, and this takes you into heat. Having a 10-frame move that can take you into heat and give you a +7 guaranteed mix-up is ridiculous. I believe the only other character to have this is Law. Please utilize your 1-1-1 with Lars. It is very strong, especially against characters that don't have a lot of high crush options such as Mishimas, Hwoarang, Brian, etc. It's not just good defensively, you can also use it offensively off of frame traps such as DE1 and down 2, just to mention a few. Please do not sleep on your 1-1-1. It is godlike in this game, and please use it. Sticking to the subject of counter hits, Lars got a new down forward 2 move in Tekken 8, which is a 14-frame elbow that has a counter hit knockdown, guaranteeing you follow-up such as shoulder or forward 1+2. He can also transition into silent entry by holding forward, but you don't have to commit, you can hold back. Now the thing is, if you hold back after down forward 2, the move is only -11. However, if the Lars main decides to commit and go into SE, the jabs completely go under that down forward 2. So you kind of have a mini mix-up with these two. It's either they try to jab and get the risk of getting counter hit by SE2, or they just hold back and try to predict your transition into SE and punish you with something bigger like a hop kick, of course, but that rarely happens. Down forward 2 is a very strong tool as well, and it's 14 frames. A 14-frame elbow, mind you, cannot be parried as well, so it's kind of like a mini mix-up. It's a very good get-off-me move, being a counter-hit knockdown move as well. The risk and reward is very good, honestly, and you must implement this move in your arsenal as well. A 14-frame counter-hit is no joke, so please try to implement your down forward 2 as well. Lars got a new stance in Tekken 8 called Limited Entry, which is basically his scariest mix-up stance, especially in heat. He gains access to 2 moves in his stance, a low and a mid. Now the thing about these 2 moves is the fact that despite not being homing moves, the tracking on both of these moves is ridiculous. The tracking is insane, especially more so for the one than the 2. There is not a single instance in my journey from green rank to Tekken Gold where this stance got sidestepped. The tracking is pretty ridiculous. So with that said, don't be afraid to transition to limited entry and go for a forced mix-up. There is enough time for the opponent to sidestep, yes, but the tracking for both these moves is ridiculous, and more so, you're gonna find yourself catching your opponent try to sidestep or completely nullifying their movement with the low, because the low is basically a homing move, right, as shown in the trailer as well. Don't be afraid to use LE for your mix-ups. Utilize your heat, as we'll talk about later. Now Lars' lows are pretty strong for the most part. They do some good damage, they have insane range, and most of them are unreactable. Now the biggest weakness when it comes to Lars' lows, outside of the risk of course, is every single low that Lars has is weak to sidestep right, more specifically sidestep right duck at high level. Now this is the biggest mistake I see new players make when they're using Lars. Just tend to throw out Lars' lows without looking at the risk that this comes with as well. So keep in mind that Lars' lows, and I mean all of Lars' lows, are very linear to the same direction, so keep that in mind. You must use your homing moves, you must mess around with the timing when it comes to these lows. Try your best to realign your opponent, react to what they do, see how their movement is, which direction are they stepping, are they moving in the right direction. All these things need to be taken into consideration before you just throw out Lars' moves recklessly. Lars' dynamic entry 3 is without a doubt his strongest move. It's a +5 mid homing hit engager that puts you into silent entry for a guaranteed mix-up. The advice or the tip I have for this move is spam the hell out of it. This move is so strong and the range is ridiculous. Now the only tip I can give you guys for DE3 is try to be unpredictable with how you use it, because at high level people can float you out of this with jab if they predict you or they make reads on you spamming it too much. Now the best way to counter this is by using DE1. DE1 is a safe high that puts you with +1. It's a hit engager if you do commit to the full string. It also gels, which makes it a very strong approaching move. So just mix up DE1-2 with DE3 and you will cover the range that makes Lars insanely good in this game, that +2, +1 range that Lars thrives at. So spam the hell out of DE3. So earlier we spoke about how Lars' neutral laws, or at least his laws outside of his stances, are all very linear and can be easily stepped. Well, the other biggest weakness and mostly his most important weakness is the fact that all of Lars' neutral laws are all launch punishable on block, with the exception of full crouch down 1+2. So as someone getting into Lars or someone playing Lars, you must know this by default. When it comes to Lars, the first thing you think of is risky laws. Like seriously, everything this man throws out outside of his stances is risky in terms of laws. So you must be very aware. As such, you must try to implement his stance laws, right? Lars' stance laws are really good. They have good tracking, decent damage, and his most risky law is DE1+2, which is only -14. So for Lars, that's actually pretty good. Like I said, Lars is very strong in stance, right? Because of the mix-ups that he can implement and the fact that he's not very risky as compared to his neutral law, which is pretty bad. So utilize his stance game as much as you can. Lars' upward 3+4/4 is currently broken. It's basically Akuma's Tekken 7 flip, which went under so much stuff, and Lars' flip seems to carry most of those properties. Quite right, it doesn't go under every mid, it goes mostly under slow mids with very slow startup, but ideally it does have some weird crashing properties. Even from full crouch, it will cancel stuff like Hwoarang's flamingo down forward 4, or stuff like a down 2 or a down back 2 from Lars, right? So exploit it as much as you can, because I do see this getting nerfed in the very near future. So Lars mains, use this before it goes. Now granted, the tracking is very horrible, you can simply step it, but he has a grab from this flip as well, and as we know, currently grabs track both sides. So if you use Lars upward 3+4 1+2 throw in tandem with his upward 3+4/4 flip, it now becomes a very difficult mix-up to deal with, right? You're not breaking every throw because throws are counter hit and they're difficult to break right now, so it's very oppressive. So again, Lars players, use this before it's nerfed. Use your manual stance transitions. Now what I mean by this is there are certain moves that Lars has that take you into stance, right? Some moves will take you to DE stance, other moves will take you to silent entry, other moves will take you to limited entry, but Lars has a manual way of going into all of these stances. So you can go to DE by pressing forward 3, you can go to SE by holding forward after forward 3, then you can go to LE by holding down after silent entry. So all these stances are interconnected. Now earlier we spoke about how DE3 is so strong that you also must use DE1 as kind of like a mix-up to throw off the timing for your opponent. So I mean it in the same sense with manual stance transitions, like forward 3 into hold forward into SE can be a very nice way or a very easy way to get in with your opponent, because if you do forward 3, the opponent expects you to go for forward 3-3 or DE3, right? If you go forward 3-1, it's good to like just go for manual DE or manual SE, right, directly from neutral. It's very strong. It's strong after Oki as well, after a knockdown. It's strong at the wall. It's strong in neutral as well. So always use your manual entries. They're pretty strong. Lars has Mishima Blood. With that said, he gets the privilege of having very good punishment as well. A very strong 10 frame which forces a mix-up into LE, a strong 12 frame punisher which wall splats and knocks down, a 13 frame shoulder which wall splats down, a 14 frame launcher, a good 15 frame launcher, and a long range punisher as well, back 3-4, which is good against moves such as pose death fist. So like I said earlier, Lars rewards good punishment as well. You want to maximize your punishment with this character because that's when you get the most out of him, including his mix-up game as well. So again, Lars mains, put your character in practice mode and try to maximize your punishment and get the best out of him. Do not waste your hit gauge by cancelling the Rebellion shoulder into unlimited entry mix-up. Now I've seen a lot of Lars players do this and it is so bad. You must always keep in mind that when you go in hit off of a hit engager, you can only use Lars' Rebellion shoulder 3 times. You can also only use 3 mix-ups from his LE as well before your bar runs out. So using a Rebellion shoulder into an LE mix-up is very anti-productive because you waste 2 bars of hit gauge, because limited entry already puts you in SE and SE has a mix-up between mid and the low. So why cancel that to go for another LE mix-up tap, that will take away even more of your hit gauge. It does not make sense. So please, unless you're going for the kill, do not cancel Rebellion into an AoE mix-up. Try by all means to save your hit as much as possible, because Lars has one of the best hit mechanics in the game. Lars' hit smash is not that great. It's one of the slower hit smashes at 18 frames, and the worst part about it is the tracking. The tracking for this hit smash is horrible. One of the worst in the game. Just a tiny step in whichever direction and the whole thing whiffs, and bet your ass you're getting your ass punished for whiffing this. So don't try too much to rely on Lars as a hit smash to get rid of your hit. I rather prefer you go for like an SE1 into hit dash mix up, or like even 1+2, or forward 1-2 into hit dash. Don't use this hit smash that randomly at high level, especially. It will easily get stepped and you will die. If you're trying to go for Oki mid screen, try as best as you can to end your combos with SE3. It has enough recovery time for you to actually go for DE2 as an Okizeme option, which you're going to use as your conditioning too. So DE2 hits grounded, is a safe mid, counter hits get up 4s, and get up 3s will float get up 3+4s as well. So it's a very good conditioning move. When you condition your opponents, that opens possibilities for you actually going for mix-ups. Now you can go from DE to SE like we explained earlier. You can go for DE lows, you can go for SE lows. It's very strong for Oki, and just a very good conditioning too. Now the same principle applies at the wall, but instead of going for like manual DE forward 3-2, you can instead go for moves such as forward 1-2-3, which takes you into DE as well. So the principle is the same. Use DE2 to hit them grounded. You can transition to SE, you can transition to LE as well, so go crazy. So there you have it guys, 15 essential tips that will for sure improve your Lars gameplay. Now as usual with my guides, these are just quick fire tips. I will dive deeper in my Lars guide coming soon. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing, checking out my content, and most of all, don't forget to toria that like button. So now if you enjoyed my Lars content, why not check out this video here? Does Lars actually deserve to be nerfed?